Okay, so recording has started so that we can always go back and then, watch this video later on or watch this recording later on in case we miss out on anything. Yeah, so hopefully as people join and then we can have a more interactive and, a full class, right? So before I proceed, I just want to mention that, it would be really great if we can take the sessions that we will be having for the next few weeks quite serious, right? Not only would it also, of course, help for your personal development, depending on whatever line you're looking to go into. If you're looking to like become Microsoft 365 consultants fully, or maybe you want to go into supporting Microsoft 365 service or deploying, right? So it would be really great if you can, fully participate in the sessions that we'll be having. And we're currently, communicating with the Microsoft personnel to see if we can also get exam vouchers so that at the end of this, we write this case for free or at least at a highly discounted rate and get the Microsoft certifications that show that, yes, we have successfully completed the learning module and we are, we are competent in managing Microsoft 365. So yes, and the way we would be getting these vouchers is based on attendance. So we'll be taking attendance seriously. So it would be great if we can join sessions when we have them, right? And if you can't join, you can always go through the recordings, of course, but attendance counts towards getting your voucher at the end of the training. So thank you and have a wonderful learning experience. I have my colleague on the call, Sarah. So Sarah will be coming in from time to time to, if there are any issues, you can always, of course, if as I'm going through the session, if you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat box. At the end of the short presentation I have here, we will have time for question and answers. We'll have a live demo session, right? So it's not just presentations. We will actually have, I think today is mainly the day that actually even has a standard presentation. Other weeks or the other sessions to come would be more practical, right? So, but if you have any questions as we proceed, you can always drop them in the chat box. Myself or my colleague Sarah would respond to them, and we'll make sure that if you have any gray areas, right, you are trying to get more clarity, we'll definitely touch on it, and we can proceed. All right. Once again, thank you all so much for joining. My name is Juan Idowu. I am a Microsoft certified personnel. I am also a technical account manager. I basically help to, I sit with my customers to get their understanding of, okay, what are their technological or their technology goals, right? And how can I assist or how can my organization assist them in reaching that, right? And this of course revolves around Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Service, Microsoft Azure, and what have you, right? So basically the cloud services, right? So I am once again glad to be here, and I will just proceed at this point. So our agenda for today, we'll be doing a brief introduction to cloud computing. We'll be looking at, of course, what is Microsoft 365. I'm sure that many of us on this call have, heard the term at one point or the other. Looking at the productivity benefits of Microsoft 365, introduction to Microsoft 365 core services and features, Microsoft 365 subscription options, and then we'll now go into the demo session. Before I go on though, I think for now we are not so many in the class, so I would really love to know the people that we have on the call, right? So that I understand your like what's your field currently. Do you have any experience at all with Microsoft 365 so that we can tailor this experience to meet your need. So if you don't mind, can we just do like a brief introduction, just your name, maybe even your current career path, or just something to, get us to know if you have any experience with Microsoft 365, just briefly. Can you all hear me?
Good morning.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
My name is... All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Hafsat. I currently work as an admin. I don't have much experience with Microsoft 365, so I'm looking at switching into tech. Although I have a little bit of experience in software development and others, but I'm looking at Azure cloud computing basically, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Hafsat. Okay. Who's next? I'm sure we have more people on this call. Or are we shy?
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay, my name is Anita. I have no prior knowledge of Microsoft 365. I'm trying to transit into tech, so yeah, I'm a beginner. I'm a
Okay.
therapist by profession.
Thanks, Anita.
Mm.
Okay. Great to have you on this call. Thanks for joining us. So who is next?
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Okay, my name is Oduma from Nigeria, and I don't have
Okay.
any experience with Microsoft 365, but I'm an editor and a book consultant, so I work
Okay.
majorly with MS Word. So that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Nice to meet you. Is that all? Do we have any other person? Okay, Sarah, maybe you want to introduce yourself also so that you know.
Hi, good afternoon.
Oh, hi.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Joseph.
Yes,
Can
Joseph.
you hear
Hi.
me? My name is
Yes,
Joseph.
please.
I'm an IT support person. Um,
Okay.
um, I've not really worked with a core Office 365. I'm ordinary layman IT support person, just with desktop support and the rest. So I just would love to get better and grow myself under Azure and like Office 365. Learn
Okay.
better.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
All right then. So, do we have any other mentee who would like to introduce themselves before I allow Sarah to go ahead to introduce herself too? Okay. All right. So over to you, Sarah. Sarah is my colleague, and she's also on this call. So I would just love that she can introduce herself too.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. As one said, I'm also a mentor in this cohort. I am currently a Microsoft 365 analyst for Avanade Ireland. Prior to that, I used to be a technical support engineer in Lagos, Tech Expert, Nigeria. So basically, what I've done is I help Microsoft customers to resolve their Office 365 issues. So that's all about me. I got into tech through a program like this, which is why I volunteered to also do this program for other people to also have this same experience I did. So yeah, that's all.
Thanks, Sarah. So for those of us that are really looking at, a career path in tech, just take Sarah as your line of testimony, basically. Right. All right then. So we'll just go ahead. Thank you so much, everyone, for introducing yourselves. So we'll just go ahead, basically. Right. So, I mentioned that, of course, we can't even speak about Microsoft 365 without mentioning cloud computing, right? So many people have different ideas what cloud computing is. So we just like to, shed more light and then, just clarify for the sake of this class, right? So cloud computing is basically the delivery of cloud computing services right? So when you say computing services, because when people hear the idea of cloud computing, you're like, okay, the cloud computing, how does that correlate or something, right? It is not servers or computers sitting in the cloud. It's just, you have servers, you have storage devices, databases and all of that sitting in a remote location, sitting in a data center in a location that is not probably not even close to you, right? That may be in another country or what have you. But then you are able to take advantage of that technology in order to, come up with innovative ideas, make use of the flexible resources, and then just cut costs, right? So basically, you have access to all these services. You have access to the servers, the storage, the network, and all of that over the internet, right? That helps you to now offer faster innovation, flexible resources, and economies of scale, right? So basically, the good thing about the cloud is unlike, the traditional technology methods that we are all used to. If you want to make use of a computer, you have to go and purchase it, right? Or maybe you need to copy. Sorry, can we all mute our mics? I'm hearing a bit of a static noise. Can we mute our mics, please? Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, while that is being done, so yes, like I said, unlike the traditional ways that we are used to, right? I want to copy a large file. I would need to go and buy a hard drive, right? Copy it on that from one system, and then travel to another location, and then just dump my files on another system or what have you. Or even using a flash drive. Everyone can relate with having a flash drive and taking it around wherever you go, right? Now, you do not need to go through all of that any longer, because making use of a cloud service, you can easily just connect, right? Store maybe even create your documents in that cloud platform, and everything is stored in there. And anytime you log into another system, right, and just you're connected to the internet, you have your login details, you can easily access the data that you have in there. So typically in the cloud, you basically just pay for what you use, right? So maybe you only want to make use of a storage box or what have you, right? You only pay for that, and you'd only even need that storage space for like a month or just a short period of time. You only get to pay for that period, and then it's not as burdensome as actually having to purchase a whole server or a whole hard drive, as the case may be, just because you wanted to store a file that was XYZ size, right? So it basically helps to lower operating costs, helps organizations to run infrastructure more efficiently, and you can now scale your business as required, right? So some of the top benefits of cloud computing is, of course, like I mentioned earlier, cost. You only pay for what you use, and you can decide to scale up or scale out, meaning, okay, I've paid for, take for example, I only need 1 gig of space, right? I've paid for that 1 gig, and then I feel like my files are increasing. I need more space, right? Then I can only then would I decide to, increase my storage usage, right? And that's basically helping me cut costs, right? I'm only paying for what I use, right? The speed, because you're taking advantage of servers that are in remote locations and what have you. So you can easily just connect to your data so long as you have a good internet connectivity, right? Productivity. Gone are the days where, well, not really gone are the days. Even till today, you see many organizations that have data centers, or that have servers sitting on their premises, and then there is one IT person that is always has to be on site to make sure that everybody is able to work and remains productive. Now, this person has to be the one to ensure that the system is plugged in, the system is not overheating or something, the system has enough space and all of that. This person is just dedicated to making sure that that server is working fine. And the funny thing is that that particular job role might not even be the person's core duty in the organization. It's just one of the things that has been assigned to that person to do. Now, the person is not going to be as productive as someone who is making use of, taking advantage of a cloud service where, oh, I just log onto my computer, I go to a particular website and I can see that, oh, okay, yes, our website is running as expected. I don't need to actually be managing a system that has our web server logged or installed on it and all of that, right? All I need to do is really just to, maybe I have new detail to upload, I just upload it and all of that. I'm not actually bothered about how the system that is housing that service is functioning. All I'm bothered about is that my information is up to date. So it means that I am more productive, right? Global scale, like I said, cloud computing basically it takes advantage of data centers that are in various locations around the world, right? So depending on the data center that is even close to you, when you are, most times when you are taking advantage of a service, you get to pick, oh yes, I want my server to be hosted in, say, South Africa or in Europe, right? Or whatever location that you feel would make your service run best, right? You can take advantage of that. Performance, it also has you're assured of like a 99.9% uptime using a cloud service, because there is that you can always fail over. Take for example, maybe it might come to your mind that, oh, okay, what if a data center, right, a whole location that is hosting my data and the data of other organizations, what if that data center goes down, right? What happens to my data? Does that mean that everything I have stored in there just gets deleted or gets corrupted and I can no longer access it? No, there is always a replication of your data. So it's more like your data sits in two different sites, right? So you can always access your data. Even if something happens to one data center, you would hardly even know. Maybe there can be like a 10 minutes downtime, 5 minutes, or max like 30 minutes, 1 hour downtime, but you are assured that your data would still remain intact, right? And then it's reliable. And then security, I like to say security in the cloud is a shared responsibility on the part of the manufacturers or the hosts, basically like the Microsoft and what have you, right? You're assured of security from their own side, because of course they ensure that the systems have the latest antivirus, have the anti-malware in place and all of that, just to ensure that your data is secure with them. Now, on your own part too, depending on the cloud service that you choose to take advantage of, right, you can now put your own security measures in place. For example, you're saying, oh, okay, the cloud is secure. You purchase an email, right? As simple as a service, as simple as your Yahoo Mail or your Outlook Mail or your Gmail, right? All those services are actually sitting in the cloud, because you do not have, the data is not sitting directly on your mobile device or on your laptop. It is sitting in a remote location, right? So now Google is telling you, or Microsoft is telling you, or Yahoo is telling you that, oh yes, your service is secure with us, right? But then you do not set a secure password for your email account, or you set a password and you were not careful about where you stored that password. Maybe you just carelessly gave it to someone. If your account is compromised, at that point, of course, you can't say that it was the fault of the service provider, right? At that point, it was really based on negligence on your own part. So that's why I like to think of security in the cloud as shared responsibility, right? So yes, and that's even like those are even very easy explanations of, or examples of, cloud computing services. When you think of, you are using an Android phone or you are using an Apple device. Let me even start with an Android phone. When you set up your Android phone, you will most likely notice that it's asking you to, sign up with your Gmail account, right? So your Gmail account, the fact that you're able to send and receive emails, you have your Google Drive, you have your Google Photos, you store data in there. Those are all cloud services, right? You do not know where that data is seated, but you know that you can easily access that data, right? So this this training session is really okay, focused on Microsoft 365. How does it work? How can I help an organization set up a Microsoft 365 service, right? How can I even come from a point of view of, oh, I'm a trusted advisor, I understand how this thing works, I can help you set it up, right? So those are some of the things that we should be expecting as, those should be like some of our expectations at the end of the sessions that we would be having. Now, I hope my brief explanation of the cloud was sort of explanatory for us, right? It made some sort of sense. And of course, if it doesn't, you can still ask questions, like I said. And then the good thing too is that we can also research and get more details with regard to cloud computing. What are the other cloud services, cloud service providers out there? I already mentioned some: Microsoft, Google, there's Amazon. We're all familiar also with, of course, Yahoo and so on and so forth, right? These are all cloud service providers that we all know today, but maybe we never really thought of the fact that they were really into cloud computing. Now we'll go into Microsoft 365. What is Microsoft 365, right? Many of us, like we said, some of us mentioned that, we've never really thought of or heard of Microsoft 365 before, right? So what is Microsoft 365? Microsoft 365 really is just a suite of productivity tools designed to help you achieve more, right? So there are tools that basically help you to, communicate better, collaborate better with your team, work more efficiently, be more productive, right? And basically gives you access to your data anywhere, anytime, and on any device. So when we talk of Microsoft 365, what comes to mind? Right? It's just like your everyone. Oh, I'm so sorry. Can we please mute our mics? Thank you. Okay. So I'm very sure that we are all familiar with, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and what have you, right? These are softwares that almost everyone makes use of, right? Especially people who maybe even if you're in the university, right? Or you're a fresh graduate or what have you, right? You would definitely always have the need to make use of these particular softwares or solutions, as the case may be. Now, all of these were designed by Microsoft. Now, Microsoft is giving you access to all these productivity tools and even more. These are called, those particular apps, the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so on. They are called Office apps. So they are giving you access to all these Office apps and even more over the cloud. Meaning, I can buy a new laptop today. I do not need to go to Computer Village or to go to one to a warehouse or go online to actually purchase a CD that has Word, Excel, PowerPoint on it so that I can install it on my computer. No, I do not need to do that any longer, right? All I need to do really is to log into the Microsoft 365 portal, and then right from the portal, I can download the app package and have it installed on my system as I need. I can also access other intelligent cloud services like Microsoft Teams, OneDrive for Business, and so on and so forth. As we proceed, we'll get to know more about some of these services, right? And then all of this, I have access to all of this with world-class security. So I'm assured of security from the part of Microsoft that, oh yes, the systems will always be up to date, the systems will always be secure and all of that. But then, of course, like I said, I have my own part to play to ensure that my account is secure or my environment is secure. Now, some productivity benefits of Microsoft 365, right? With M365, like I like to call it, you get to access your files anywhere, like I said earlier. I have a presentation. I've already worked on like my PowerPoint slides and what have you. Now I'm traveling to Port Harcourt, so I'm traveling outside Nigeria, as the case may be, and I need to access these files. Does that mean that I need to copy those files on a flash drive and then travel with it? What if something happens to the flash drive, right? Does that mean that I need to now start creating my presentation from scratch? No. So with Microsoft 365, you can, store your files, your core critical files on the Microsoft 365 platform, and then you get to access them anywhere. Of course, that's the case for your emails, as the case is right now. If you should purchase a new device and you choose to set up your email, your Outlook email, your Google email, your Yahoo email on that new device, you will find out that the emails that were on your old device, you would still see them on the new one. And that's taking advantage of the cloud service, right? So in Microsoft 365, you can access your files anywhere. You have secure cloud storage. So like I mentioned earlier, Microsoft 365 makes use of, we have OneDrive for Business. So that's a part of the Microsoft 365 suite, right? It's one of the apps that you get access to. So it now gives you secure cloud storage. You get access to, of course, you can have improved communication. So when we say improved communication, you can easily communicate with your team members. So most often Microsoft 365 we have Microsoft 365 for business, we have for home, we have for enterprise, and we have for education, right? So take, for example, you're using it in your organization, as the case may be, and you need to communicate with your team members, right? Right from the Microsoft 365 platform, you do not need to now start managing other third-party apps to communicate. You can take advantage of Microsoft Teams, which is like a chat-based workspace right in Microsoft 365. Chat with your colleagues, have your video calls, have your voice calls, have your meetings, in-house meetings, or meetings with people outside the organization right from that platform. Now, with Microsoft 365 also, you have predictable spend, right? Maybe, like I said earlier, you're using it for your organization. And of course, all companies will always think of how can we cut costs, right? Or how can we get great service, but at a minimal cost? So with Microsoft 365, you're getting great service, and you can really predict how much will be spent in XYZ number of years. Unless you would, so your spend goes up when maybe you have new users, you want to purchase new licenses, or you need to take advantage of other services, then you can purchase. Like we said, you only pay for what you use. Then business continuity. What happens if, take for instance, there is an issue, maybe the admin officer in an organization, their system has all the confidential data and what have you that is critical to the business, and that system gets stolen, or it crashes, or even a disaster happens, which nobody really hopes for, but what if it happens, right? So how do you ensure that business still continues? You can do that by taking advantage of cloud. Once your files are stored in the cloud, once you're taking advantage of cloud services and what have you, meaning you don't even have any applications on your premises, or you don't have critical data stored on your premises. Instead, you have it stored in a secure cloud location. Then you are assured of business continuity. You can always have that disaster recovery plan, and you're always assured that no matter what, business continues, the business is still profitable, right? Then you get access to automatic upgrades. So from when we had Windows XP, Windows 2013 and all of that, Windows 10, Windows, everything, the different upgrades that were really coming in and all of that, or sorry, Word 2013, 2016, and so on and so forth, right? So most often you would see that, okay, everyone is trying to, there's a new software upgrade. You're trying to update your software so that you can take advantage of new features and what have you. And sometimes you might even forget to make those updates, even if the system keeps prompting you to do so. Now, Microsoft 365, if you update, all those updates come to you automatically. So you don't really need to bother about it. Everything just gets updated automatically. And then you have access to centralized collaboration. So a case where you're working with you're collaborating with your team members, you're co-editing a particular document, or you are really just brainstorming. It's helping to drive productivity basically, right? So you can create a document, share them with your team members. You don't necessarily need to even download the document, attach it to an email, send it to that person, wait for them to download it. They work on the document and then they send it back to you. So that way you are managing multiple documents or multiple versions of the same file. But with the cloud, you can simply create one file, share it with your team members, and have everyone share their feedback and all of that on that particular project, right? So basically, you are not taking advantage of the collaboration feature within Microsoft 365. Now, Microsoft 365 core services and features. I had even already sort of mentioned some of them as we're doing the brief introduction. But now, so within Microsoft 365, what are the features or what are the services that come with this package? What makes it so special? I mentioned that we have access to apps like your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and what have you, and you have access to them on the web, or you can download them to your PC. Then you also have access to core services such as Exchange Online. Now, Exchange Online is basically the email server, right? It is that location that stores emails for the organization or for a user. So, just like how you have for those of us that are familiar with working with Outlook, right? Outlook is an email client, right? So you can have Outlook downloaded or installed on your computer, right? And if you want to access your emails, you just go on Outlook, you open your Outlook, and then you can view your emails in there. Now, what is the service that feeds Outlook with those emails? What is the service that helps you send and receive emails? What is the service that helps you, maybe even create your folders or set rules to forward, automatically mark emails, or to send out vacation responders and what have you? That service is Exchange Online. So Exchange Online basically is the service that now helps you to send and receive emails within Microsoft 365. You can set transport rules. You can see, oh, okay, I sent out an email to somebody, but the person is telling me they haven't received it. What happened, right? Did this email actually leave my environment? You can actually carry out a search as an administrator, and you get to see all that information. So everything that has to do with your email server, Exchange Online is basically the email server for Microsoft 365. Then we have Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams, like I mentioned earlier, is a chat-based workspace. So it's really that one location where you can chat with your colleagues, you can chat with your team members, you can have your voice call, your video call. And the funny thing, or the good thing, is that Microsoft Teams is the platform we are currently taking advantage of to have this presentation, right? You can use it to basically drive productivity. It's helping Microsoft Teams is like the future of the workspace, the modern workspace, because on Teams, team members are basically able to, collaborate. You're able to get information or feedback with regards to maybe projects that you are working on, and so on and so forth, right? Then we have SharePoint Online. SharePoint Online is it's like it's a platform where you can build intranets. So you can build internal websites with SharePoint Online. You can create document repositories, and then for example, maybe you have an organization, you're in an organization, you have files or folders, like folders that are aging to or dating back to decades and what have you, right? You have files from the year 1990 or something like that. And that's really a liability, because if there should be a disaster, or maybe there's a fire outbreak and what have you, and all those files get burnt up and all of that, it means that all that data is lost. So now you can decide to automate, or you can decide to upload all those documents, maybe the content of those documents, into a secure cloud platform. So to do that, you can take advantage of, for example, SharePoint Online, right? Create a document repository, give access to only the people that need to access those documents. share with whoever needs to have access, remove such access if it's not required, and so on and so forth, right? With SharePoint Online, you can create internal websites. So I want to create a website that will let us know when that the MD can use in sharing new updates with the organization, or create a website that can give employees access to, or even students access to, information that is critical to the organization, right? You can create all of that using SharePoint Online. You can also, the SharePoint Online is quite robust actually. So if we even start discussing about it, it's like a topic on its own, basically, right? Then we have OneDrive for Business. OneDrive for Business is purely a file repository, right? So it is like your let me look for an example that we can easily relate with, like your Google Drive. Aha. For those of us that are familiar with Google Drive is that platform where you can store files, you can access those files even if you're connected to another system or another mobile device and what have you. So OneDrive for Business has a similar functionality, right? So you can create folders, you can store your documents into OneDrive, you can share them with your team members, you can collaborate with your team members using OneDrive for Business, right? And it just makes working together a lot easier and faster. Then we also have Microsoft Power Platform, where you have Power Apps, Power Automate, and so on and so forth, right? So basically, these are tools that help in automating processes, right? You can even, within Microsoft 365, you have apps that help you with software development, which is your Power Apps and Power Automate, right? So you can create an application that will be used internally, or you can even share it with, you can invite people that are outside the organization to also take advantage of certain resources within your organization, depending on the role that you want to assign to them, right? So it is quite robust, it is very interesting, and I really can't wait for us to just get into the actual demo and live sessions with regards to Microsoft 365. So still buttressing on Microsoft 365 core services and features, I mentioned earlier that Exchange Online is one of the most, should I say, most important aspects within Microsoft 365, because you can't talk about an organization without referring to emails, and Exchange Online really holds on to that critical service, which is sending emails back and forth. So some of the features within Exchange Online, we have, you have your mailboxes and you have online archives. So each user within an organization, depending on the license that you assign to them, each user now will have access to their own mailbox, right? And also there are Microsoft 365 has different plans. So you might be looking at, oh, okay, is it like, how do I even get access to Microsoft 365? Is it that I just pay once to Microsoft or what have you, and then I have access to all these things that you have spoken about? No, Microsoft 365 has different plans. And like I said, you only pay for what you use and you only pay for what you need, right? So there are some plans that are only email, so you can have access to email only. There are plans that gives you access to email, OneDrive, Microsoft Teams, Power Apps, and what have you, right? So depending on what you really subscribe to, we'll look at the licensing shortly, right? So mailboxes, you can have a plan that gives you access to, your mailbox, and there are different mailbox sizes. You have the 2 gig mailbox, 50 gig mailbox, 100 gig mailbox, and then there are licenses that actually give you access to also archive space, because some people will say, okay, 2 gig, that's really small. What if I of course I can exhaust 2 gig of mailbox space in just like 30 days or something, right? And that's probably because of the sort of work that you do. But for someone who is like a front desk person who only needs to send emails like once every month, or just needs to check their emails once a while, the 2 gig mailbox space might just be what they need, right? For someone with a more critical workload, would now require more space for their mailbox and probably even archive. So Microsoft 365 gives you access to that. Exchange Online gives you access to mailboxes and online archives. You also have access to calendars. So each user has a calendar to help to keep track of upcoming events. You can basically you can basically schedule events, you can invite your team members and so on and so forth, right? You can even delegate access. So take, for example, the MD of your organization wants to, of course, the MD has a very busy schedule, right? That's why they always even have assistants. Now, the MD would, of course, definitely require that his assistant should be able to, accept or reject invites on his behalf or schedule events on his behalf without having access to his actual email, right? So it's possible for you to delegate access to your calendar, to delegate access to even your email. You can actually delegate access that, okay, yeah, let someone be able to send email as me. And but that's depending on the use case. There are different use cases for different users, basically. So you can also view and edit Office attachments online. So you can share documents with users and then they edit it. They don't need to have Microsoft Word installed on their laptops before they get to edit the documents that you have sent to them, right? They can actually edit those documents right on Outlook on the web, or taking advantage of Word online. So Microsoft Word has an online version, Excel has an online version, PowerPoint has an online version, and you get access to that when you have a Microsoft 365 subscription. Then you can take advantage also of shared mailboxes and resources. So shared mailboxes are basically for group of users that need to share information in a central mailbox, right? So we are a group of users. Take, for example, we are trying to organize an event, right? So let's say we decide to create a mailbox and call it event@textilers.com, right? So now I would have access to that mailbox. Sarah would have access to the mailbox, and Foyi and every other person who really needs to be a part of that event or to get information with regards to that event will have access to that mailbox. Now we can each of us can reply as the mailbox, right? Each of us can see emails that are sent to that mailbox, as the case may be, right? And you can even set up mailboxes for resources and equipment. For example, you are in a standard environment or organization, and people need to make use of the conference room, right? You can't just say, okay, yeah, I want to have a meeting. I'm at the office. Let me just walk into the conference room and make use of it. In some organizations, they actually create mailboxes for their conference rooms, so that if you want to make use of that conference room, you have to book it down first, right? So book it down. How many hours would you be using the conference room, so that any other person within the organization that may want to use that conference room in the time that you have already booked can see that, oh, this room will be unavailable until maybe 2 o'clock or until 10 p.m. or something like that. Not 10 p.m. Nobody is supposed to work that late. But basically, right, you would basically see the availability of your rooms or your equipment. So you want to make use of the office projector, or maybe a shared pool car, a car that all the salespeople within the organization need to make use of, and what have you. You can create mailboxes for all these resources, right, and manage them right from Microsoft 365. Now, another feature of Exchange Online is you can create message policies and compliance policies. So you can create policies within Microsoft 365 on, for example, retention policies. You want to retain the emails within your organization, maybe emails older than 2 years, you want to delete them, or emails older than 2 years, you want to make sure that you retain them for XYZ number of period, right? You can encrypt messages. You can, as an administrator, these are things that you can do as an administrator, not just regular users within the organization have access to carry out these tasks in the organization, right? So you can even carry out e-discovery search. Maybe there is a compliance issue currently ongoing. There is like a legal case, right? And an investigation is going on, and they need to search for, any correspondence or anything that really ties to certain keywords and what have you. You can actually carry out searches within the organization for such things. Now, this does not mean that, this does not mean that users do not have secure access to their data. Like, users' data can easily be accessed by admin. No. For you to even have full access to a user's email, for example, you still need to have their email password, right? And of course, even if you are resetting a user's email password, they will definitely know, because at that point you're getting an email notification that, oh, your password has been changed, or you're trying to access your account and it's telling you that your password has changed. At that point, you know that your mailbox has been compromised, right? But basically, you can set policies in place to ensure that your environment is secure, to prevent data loss within your environment. Some more features within Exchange Online is, you can set anti-spam and anti-malware policies to prevent or to reduce the rate at which spam emails come into your environment. So spam emails, like, okay, maybe you are receiving emails that are advertising products and what have you, products, emails that your users did not subscribe to, right? You can reduce such emails. You can set policies that help in reducing such emails. You can set up anti-phishing policies. So when some people tend to ask that, what is phishing? When you talk about the email environment, what do you mean by phishing? So phishing is actually, when you are receiving emails that are, the sender is has malicious intentions. They are pretending to be someone they are not, right? They are sending you a link that, oh, okay, maybe click on this link to reset your password, whereas they are not your email administrators or what have you, right? Or you're almost out of a mailbox, click on this link for more data, to purchase more space, right? But it's actually not a valid link. It is not a valid email. Those are phishing emails. The senders have malicious intentions and probably just want to steal your data, right? And of course, when they steal your data, they can now use that for other things. Now, you can set up policies to help reduce or to stop the receipt of such emails or such threats within your environment. Now, you can even configure your mail flow, right? So you can set up connectors. Maybe you want to be connecting to, you want to send emails from both Gmail and Microsoft 365, right? It's possible. So it's just all about setting up your mail flow. You can access your Microsoft 365 account using your laptop. You can access using your mobile device. You can access using your tablet and what have you, right? So you can easily just set that up on the devices as required. And then you can also easily deploy Microsoft 365. You can do that. Your organization is currently making use of the Gmail platform, and now you want to migrate from Gmail to Microsoft 365. Does that mean that all the data that you had in Gmail will be lost? No, it does not. You can migrate your data. You can basically migrate your data from Gmail to Microsoft 365, right? Look at the deployment process, how it currently works, how you can set up your Microsoft 365 environment as required, right, to succeed. So now, at this point, I just want to ask if we have any questions before I now go into how can you sign up for a Microsoft 365 tenant, right? How can you sign up maybe for a trial, if you want to run a trial to see how it even works and all of that. And also exploring the Microsoft 365 tenant. What does it look like? What should you expect and all of that? So, and I also have a link here that will help us learn more about Microsoft 365. So good thing is that, we have the Microsoft Learn site. So you can easily go there and, follow step-by-step instructions on how you can actually take advantage of the services we have on Microsoft 365. Before I go into the demo session, I just want to find out, do we have any questions? Does anyone have any questions so far based on what we've discussed? Are we still together?
Yes, I can still hear you.
Yes.
Okay. I hope I've not. Okay. Okay, we have a question. Please.
Regarding the emails, what happens when, say, a staff, leaves the company and perhaps there's an email they're trying to get access to? Will they still be able to access the email of that employee that has left? That's the administrator.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Sorry, who asked that question? Hafsat.
Yes,
Okay. All right, thank you so much for that question. Oh, sorry. Do you mind muting? Okay. Please, can we mute our mics just so that to prevent any echoes? Thank you. Okay, yeah. So you asked that, when an employee has left an organization, you're trying to access maybe older emails and what have you. Yes, so it's possible for you to, when an employee leaves an organization, like I said, you only in Microsoft 365, you only pay for what you use, right? So if a user leaves an organization, you can decide to either leave the license, the email license assigned to that user, meaning you will continue to pay for that license because maybe the user's role was quite critical and you need to always access the emails as the case may be. Or the administrator, as an administrator, you can choose to convert that user's mailbox to a shared mailbox. Now, what does that mean? It means that you're converting it to a shared mailbox. You can still access the user's emails, the user's old emails, right? Based on approval, of course. Anything that is being done would be based on, what the management has approved and all of that. So you can still access the users, or you can assign to someone who would always need to access the user's email as required. And the thing about shared mailboxes is that the organization would not pay for that. A shared mailbox does not have a license, right? So the emails are still active, but the organization is not paying for those emails to be active. They're just taking advantage of that service that comes with Microsoft 365. And then you can also, that's the second, the first one I said to leave the account active so that you can keep accessing the emails, but that will mean that you will need to have the user's email address and password. You can reset the password, right? As an administrator, you can reset the user's password so the user no longer has access to that account, right? And then you can now begin to, or whoever within the organization that needs the account detail can now begin to access it as required. The second option is to convert it to a shared mailbox. As we proceed with the training, we'll get to see how this works and all of that. Comes to a shared box, and then anybody within the organization that has the right approval or that needs to access that detail can do that. And then the third option is to archive. So you can actually, as an administrator, you can archive the user's mailbox, right? Export it, and you can export the content of the user's mailbox so that whoever needs to access it at a future time can always do so, right? They just need to import the mailbox into Outlook desktop application and then access as required. Most of these explanations would make more sense as we begin to have the demo sessions. Yes, please.
Joseph, you wanted to say something? Hello?
I mean, like you said, you mentioned like three options now, which means that the first option, you will still be paying for the license.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I said, yeah, exactly. Like you rightly mentioned, I mentioned 3 different options, right? From my own point, I usually advise that when a user is leaving an organization, right, I usually advise administrators to convert the user's account to a shared mailbox, right? That way you can always access it and you are not paying for that license. The license that the user was previously enjoying can now be used to create a new user account, right, as required. But it works for different organizations in different ways, right? But of course, if you even need to leave the account active and continue paying for it, you have to reset the log the current user out of all the sessions, right? Reset the user password so they can no longer access the company information, and then proceed as required. So I don't know if that answers your question, Hafsat.
Thank you. Yes, it has.
Hi, Hafsat, since you are on mute, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it has. Can you hear me?
Okay, all right then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay then. Thanks for that. So before, yes, I can. All right then. So before we go into the demo session, I mentioned we will take a quick look at the Microsoft 365 licensing. Microsoft 365 licensing, right? So like I mentioned earlier, in Microsoft 365, we have, or I like to call it for short, M365, because Microsoft 365 is a mouthful. So M365, we have M365 for home, right? So this is for maybe your private computer. You just want to have access to, just want to activate the office on your system. You want to have the official Microsoft 365 apps on your system and what have you, right? We have Microsoft 365 for home. We have M365 for business. We have M365 for enterprise. So enterprise is users from 300, organizations with users from 300 and above, or 301 users and above. And then we have Microsoft 365 for education. So for schools, universities, and what have you, right? So there are different plans. I'll just quickly touch on, the Microsoft 365 business plans. So for example, which is what you see here. So you have Microsoft 365 Business Basic. We have Microsoft 365 Business Standard, Microsoft 365 Business Premium. So you can see that these are, I mentioned earlier that we have different plans. So these are 3 different plans, and you can see the prices up here. There are 3 different prices, right? There are even still plans that are less than this. This is $5 per user per month. There's a plan that is less than this. There's a kiosk plan, which just gives access to email only, right? There's the exchange online plan, which is also email only, but the storage space is bigger than the kiosk plan. So there are different plans for different use cases, really. So one of the common plans is this Microsoft 365 Business Basic, right, for just businesses. So Business Basic, and it costs $5 per user per month. So under here, you can see the things that it comes with. For example, if you click on email and calendaring, let me scroll down. So you can see host email with a 50 gig mailbox, meaning the user will have access to a 50 gig mailbox. They can make use of their custom domain name. So it can be, for example, one at text company name, or maybe our company name is say it's even business, so chemiscakes.com, right? So I can say one at chemiscakes.com, right? So you can have your custom domain name attached to your email. You can access your email on your phone, your tablet, desktop, and what have you. So you can basically see all the features that you can, all the things that you have access to based on the plan that you subscribe to. Let me close this. So for file storage and sharing, now you saw that for M365, Microsoft 365 Business Basic, the user has access to 50 gig mailbox. Now they also have access to store files, right? So you have access to OneDrive for business, and each user has access to 1 terabyte of storage in OneDrive, right? So this is if you are subscribing to a plan like Microsoft 365 Business Basic. So meaning each user will have 1 terabyte of storage that they can take advantage of. They can use it to store their files, store different folders, and share documents amongst themselves as required. So meaning I do not really I no longer really need to store documents on my system, right? I can easily have them stored in the cloud in my Microsoft 365 account. Then teamwork and communication. So you can take advantage of Microsoft Teams. I introduced Teams to us earlier. So you can host online meetings. You can have online meetings with up to 300 users on that call, right? You can chat from Microsoft Teams with your team members. Those of us that have already started to explore Microsoft Teams since we signed up for this program, you would have seen that you can see where you can chat. You would have seen the area where you can view your calendar and so on and so forth. Those are all features of Microsoft Teams, right? So you can bring your teams together for chat, for meetings, share files, for apps, and all of that. You have access to all this with Microsoft 365 Business Basic Plan, right? And so many other services that come with business. As you scroll down, you see that not everything comes with Business Basic. Some features are only available with Business Standard. For example, this desktop version of Office apps, let me click on it. Desktop version of Office apps. Right? So if you subscribe to Microsoft 365 Business Standard, which is the second item here, then you can install Office apps like your Word, PowerPoint, and what have you, your Windows or Mac PC, right? You can install those Office apps on up to 5. So one license would allow you install on up to 5 laptops or MacBooks, right? One license allows you to install Office on 5 systems or 5 PCs. Then you have advanced features and so on and so forth. So when advising your organization to purchase a Microsoft 365, to switch to Microsoft 365, it's always good to check the different plans. What do we really need, right? What is our major concern right now? And what plan is supposed to address that, right? And you can use and match licenses. So it's not compulsory you buy one license for all the 200 or 10 users that you have in your organization. You can have different licenses. Okay, Shade needs to be able to, install Office apps on her computer. Buy her Microsoft 365 Business Standard. Don't care, only needs to be able to send emails back and forth and number of emails. So I have business right? Or maybe the MD needs to have advanced security features and so on and so forth. Then you can consider Microsoft 365 Business Premium. It also comes with Windows 10 upgrade. So if the user is using an older version of Windows operating system, it can now help to automatically upgrade the user's OS. So these are just some of the different plans that we have out there. After today's call, you can do your research. Just search for Microsoft 365 plans, right? And then it will bring it up and you can see as required. Now, I mentioned that you can, after today's class, I'll really encourage us to, sign up for a trial version of Microsoft 365. Sorry, give me like 30 seconds. I need to plug in my system. Just 30 seconds, please. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yes. So, like I was saying, I really encourage us to, I would really love for us to sign up for the Microsoft 365. Also ahead for our session for next week, right? So basically, I believe the slides will be shared with us, or maybe I would share the links. I don't know how that will happen after the class, but I'll check with the moderators and what have you, right? So that we can share the link so that we can, get started and all of that. But in the meantime, I really encourage us after this call, make sure you carry out your research on Microsoft 365 plans, right? Look at the various plans and their various features, what makes them different, right? And then if possible, also set up a trial account. As you can see here, it says try free for 1 month, right? So when you click on that try free for 1 month, it brings you to this page. Now, you selected, okay, Microsoft 365 apps for business or Microsoft 365 business basic. This was the apps for business plan. So apps for business only gives you access to, as you can see by the right hand side, it says highlights of what you can do. So apps for business, you have access to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneDrive storage, right? This does not give you access to email, right? So you can select a plan that gives you access to email just for that trial purpose, right? Now let's get started. Can enter an email address. So let's, for example, okay, let me see. Now, the email I just entered is actually one that has been created on Microsoft 365 before, right? So I want to show us how that even pops up when you try to sign up for the trial. Uh-oh. Seems like I'm having, let me refresh this page. So while that's loading, so basically how it's meant to work, it will walk you through certain steps, ask you for certain details. So, like I said, you can set up a custom domain name, right? So based on your organization's email address, domain name, you can set up your organization domain name. So that will now be attached to your emails as you're sending out your emails, right? So when you are setting up Microsoft 365, each has a unique tenant ID, right? So that environment, that Microsoft 365 environment, we call it your tenant, basically. So when you are setting up your Microsoft 365 environment, each organization is assigned a unique tenant ID, right? You can always set a new custom domain name. You can, in fact, you can have 100 domain names that you have purchased and set them up on Microsoft. Often setting up a trial like this, you actually end up selecting your tenant details and so on and so forth, right? Since this is taking a bit to load, so I'll just show us. Let me quickly introduce us to the Microsoft 365 environment. I have a trial environment here already. So this is my demo Microsoft 365 environment. I use it when I want to break and fix things, right? When I want to test new solutions and what have you. So basically, this is how the Office 365 platform, this is the welcome page, right? So access this page, all I needed to do was you open a new browser, then you go to portal.office.com, portal.office.com, right? And then press enter. Now, if you already have an existing account, it will ask you for your email address and your password, and you log in, right? So like I said, after today's call, I would really appreciate if we can all try to set up a trial Microsoft account, right? So that way you can easily follow us. You know, we are carrying out most of these demos. Yeah. So we will still go back to that demo page, just that it's taking its time to load, really. So I'll still walk us through all of that. So from portal.office.com, when you log in, it now brings you to the home page. So this is what the home page looks like. So from here, you can easily, on the left-hand side, you can see that I have, you know, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I can click on any of these and then I get started immediately. At the top left corner, I have my app launcher. So I click on that dot, it's square dots and what have you. I click on that and it would give me a view of all my apps. It was taking time to load. Yeah, so it gives me a view of most of my apps. So I have Outlook. Outlook is the email portion of Microsoft 365 to exchange online, like we spoke earlier. I have OneDrive for Business, Word, Excel, and so on and so forth. There's Microsoft Teams. Because I'm an administrator, I can see the admin icon. But for normal users, a normal user would not see admin, right? And so on and so forth. If you also click on all apps, you can see all the applications that you have access to right from here. Now, take for example, I wanted to access my emails. I've come to portal.office.com, access my emails. I just click on Outlook. Now, it will open up Outlook for me. You get to see how Outlook looks like. I think I'm having a network. But I hope we can all still hear me. I hope I didn't get disconnected.
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's kind of
Can everyone still hear me, please?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry. I'm having a bit of a connection issue here. Okay, I'm trying to load the Outlook platform. So I show you what you know, Outlook on the web looks like. You know, this is me trying to access these services right from the browser, right? So assuming I've forgotten my laptop or I traveled and I didn't get the chance to take my system with me, right? I can still access all my services so long as I'm connected to the internet. The problem now is my internet does not seem to be as strong as I expected. So the pages are not loading as they're supposed to.
Okay, while that is loading, Afsat's hand was raised. Afsat, do you have a question while the demo is loading?
Oh, bother.
Joseph.
Yes, I had a question.
Okay.
Ask, like for a Microsoft, sorry, please.
Okay, we lost Afsat.
Sorry, my son was speaking. So I wanted to ask, so how do you know what how does an administration know what each employee would need regarding Ashraf? Can you please keep quiet? Regarding what an employee would need
Let us give her a moment with that kid. Joanne, how's it going? Joanne, can you hear us?
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
You just woke up. So regarding what an employee would need in an organization, say what would, because say for an example, maybe there's this person that will need maybe so number of space, maybe regarding emails or what's it called? Being able to create Microsoft Team meetings and maybe accommodate a certain number of people. So would knowing how, like I'm just saying, how would I know that these are the things that say this new employee that is being employed would need to be able to perform really well on their job regarding say Outlook, PowerPoint, and every other thing regarding Microsoft 365.
Okay, thank you for that question. Joanna, are you with us? Okay, give me a second, please. So to answer your question, Afsat, concerning that, there are two types of Exchange Online license that you can use for Outlook. So we have the 50 gig, we have the 100 gig. So now, depending on the kind of business you own, if you have a small business, you can buy the Exchange Online, the 50 gig own. But if you have a very big business, for example, Microsoft, for example, banks, you have to buy a bigger space, like 100 gig, the Exchange Online plan too. And you will see, will be given an extra, if you buy 50 gig, you'll be given an extra 50 gig for archiving. If you buy 100 gig, you'll be given what we call unlimited archiving for your users. So everything depends on what your company is about, the size of your company, what kind of information will you be sharing in your company. That's going to determine what you need to buy. So it's not like you're just going to buy 10 gig or you buy 20 gig. So you're going to buy either 50 gig Exchange Online Plan 1 or the 100 gig one. So I don't know if that answers your question or if you still need more clarification on that.
Yes, I believe it does. Thank you so much.
Okay. Joanne, can you hear us? Okay.
Yeah.
While we wait for Joanne. Okay.
I'm finally back.
Okay.
So sorry.
It's fine.
Just went out on me.
I understand.
I think it's better now. So I'm trying to refresh.
Okay. All right. So while we wait for you, Joseph also had a question. Joseph, can you go ahead with your question, please, while Joanne refreshes our page?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My question is, Joanne was trying to open, what's it called, the Office 365 interface. And when he opened, she went to office.com, where we have all the online application of Office 365. I want to ask that, like for instance, like for me, as an IT support person or as a user, I usually enter into this particular office.com platform. I mean, in my office, I have an account that is office account. With my office account, I can enter into office.com and access all these applications. But now, as an admin person, will I be granted a permission as a IT support? I don't know what, or does it have to do with accessibility limits? That is, depending on the kind of access that the administrator in that organization gives to you. Because as for me, I've tried on this office.com, I've tried to see if I can access admin, but I can't find it in my own, what is it called, on my own platform, the office.com platform. I only have all these other offices, OneDrive and the rest of it. So I'm asking, is it that it's because they didn't give me the privilege of an admin? That's why I can't find it on my office.com or what?
Okay, all right. Thank you for your question. So when Joanne went to portal.office.com, she had a glitch. she wanted to show you the admin portal, what the admin portal looks like. So once you have the permission, for example, everybody here is going to create a fresh tenant, a test tenant for practicals. So when you create this tenant yourself, you are creating it as if you are the owner of the business, for example. Joseph, for example, Joseph Enterprise Limited. So now you create a office trial tenant. You will have that admin center. You will create users that are going to be in your organization. For example, you want to put me in your organization or maybe as a secretary. You won't give me that admin rights. So once I log into portal.office.com using the email address you create for me, I won't see that admin portal. But for example, now you employ Joanne as your IT admin and you want her to be like maybe an Exchange Online administrator. You can give her that, okay, make she not do Teams. Let her just focus on Exchange Online. You give her that particular admin permission. And if you have, let's say you have your brother, for example, you want him to be also like a partner in your business. You want two of you to be the owner of the business. You can give him all the rights that you have, all the same rights. So that person can also like have the same admin rights you have. It's called a global admin. So that is what we're supposed to show in the demonstration. She has taught you the theoretical aspects. So the stage for us now is to teach you guys the practical aspects so that you guys can create this thing and you can see, oh, this is what my admin usually do that I used to see on my own side. So that is what we are trying to lecture. That's what we're trying to teach you guys. Yes. We want you guys to see what is happening at the back end with all those stuff. Yes. So does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Is Joanne back? Any other question? Joanne, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thanks so much, Sarah.
All right.
Thanks for the questions, Hafsat. Thank you, Joseph. So Sarah answered that, I couldn't have answered it better, right? So with regards to what you can see. So basically, Office 365 acts on a role-based, you get access based on the role that has, or the permission that has been granted to you. So if you can't see the admin portal or the admin icon, that's because you haven't been granted admin access for your organization, right? So it's probably something that maybe you can now, once you now have you've gathered the expertise, you now know how to manage the environment based on what we'll be learning, right? You can probably now go back to your management and say, oh yes, I've now become Microsoft 365 certified, and I believe that I can also help in managing our environment. Then you can have that conversation with them. But basically, you cannot manage an environment unless you've been granted admin rights to that environment, and we will get to see how all of this even works, right?
Okay. Thank
you. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly, I was sharing my screen, right, to do like a introduction to the Microsoft 365 platform for those of us on this call that probably you've never gotten to work with it before, right? And then also walk us through how you can set up your trial environment. Now, the purpose behind the trial is so that each of us can go back and play around with the environment. The best way to learn is when you also have what you are working with, right? If you're just coming and listening or watching what's happening, you may not grab as easily or as fast as you're meant to, right? But if you're actually playing around with it as required, then it's easier and faster for you to learn. So let me share my screen now. It's a lot better now. So to share window. Okay, just share the entire screen. All right, so we should be able to see my screen now. So basically what I'm just displaying here, this is the Microsoft 365 homepage, right? When you set up your trial successfully, your trial account successfully, you will be brought into a page that is similar to this, right? But yours would say something like, oh, welcome and what have you, right? At the left-hand side, we have the app launcher. So from here, you can open any of the apps that you have access to based on what your organization has subscribed to, right? At the right hand side, you have the install Office in case you have a package that comes with Office apps, right? You can view your calendar for the day, maybe what's your schedule like for the day, You can come over here for settings. So you want to change your theme, you want to change the language and time zone, you want to change the mode, you want to even reset your password. You can easily do that from here if password reset has been enabled for your environment, right? So this is for people that are in organizations that use Microsoft 365. Now you can also click on your app launch, your profile image here or icon over here by the top right to view your account information, to sign out, or to preview your profile, right? So I want to access my email, or I want to access my file repository. You know, I've been talking about OneDrive, I've been talking about Outlook, I've been talking about Exchange Online and what have you. How do I access all of this? I just click on the app launcher, I select Outlook, or I select OneDrive as the case may be. And, you know, this is the Outlook interface. This is Outlook on the web, basically, right? This is Outlook on the web, basically. So it's similar to, you know, the email platforms you're used to. Maybe you're used to Gmail, you're used to, even probably you use the free version of Outlook, right? You will notice it's sort of similar. So you have your inbox, you can compose your emails easily from here. Just click on new message. You can set up a meeting instantly or join a meeting instantly just by clicking on Meet Now at the top right hand side. You can communicate with your team members just from clicking on Chat. So if I click on Chat, it will take me directly to Microsoft Teams, right? Because we mentioned earlier that Microsoft Teams is the platform on Microsoft 365 where you can have your chat, you can have your voice calls, your video calls, and so on. Now, also still Outlook on the web, you can set up, maybe you can set up rules. You want to automatically forward emails that are coming into your account to another account, or you want to create folders, right, and store certain emails within those folders. Or you want to even configure, maybe you're going on a vacation and you want to set up out of office responders so that anybody that is sending you emails within that period, they get to know you're not available. You can do all of that from the settings area over here. So to see the full options, you just need to click on this view all Outlook settings, and it will open the full Outlook settings where you can now configure as required, right? So that's really it for Outlook on the web, right? From a user's point of view. Now, coming to OneDrive for business, right? I mentioned this is where you store your files, you share files with your colleagues. So from here, I can create a new document. If I click on new, I can see new folder, new Word document, Excel document, and so on and so forth. So take, for example, I click on Word document. Now, I'm doing this for the sake of those of us that probably you've never really gotten to work with Microsoft 365 before. So this is how really it works, right? So this is Word on the web, Microsoft Word Online, right? You can see I'm accessing it using my Microsoft Edge browser, right? You can also access it using your Chrome. You can use Chrome, you can use Edge, you can use Firefox, right? And you can easily access your Microsoft 365 account using any of these browsers. Or if you're using a MacBook, you can use your Safari browser. So you can create your document, you can share them easily with your colleagues just by clicking on share. You can leave comments on your documents by clicking on comments, and so on and so forth. Now, this is displaying, like I said, I am doing all of this right from my browser, right? Meaning, if I log out from this system, I can go on another system, log in, and continue to work efficiently, right? I do not need to carry this heavy, my laptop is quite heavy, I need to change it. I do not need to carry this heavy laptop from one location to another. I can just easily log in and access my data as required. Then, of course, we have Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams, we have our chats, you have your, different teams. You basically can carry out, collaborate with your team members as required. Many of these features many of these apps within Microsoft 365 that I'm introducing to us, we would still do a deep dive on them and how to administer them, how to manage them within your environment, right? So today is just for the sake of introducing them initially. So now that's really it for the quick review of the Microsoft 365 platform. Then looking at the admin center, I want to show us the admin center, what it looks like. Although today, for our agenda today does not cover a deep dive of the admin center. That will be covered next week, Saturday. So next week, Saturday, I'll be showing you how you can create users, how you can create groups, how you can manage your Microsoft 365 platform using PowerShell script. So many of us, when you hear PowerShell script, you get scared that, I don't know how to code. I've never coded before. The beautiful thing about this is that everything you need is really available online, right? So most of the script that we'll be using, you just need to edit it. You just need to change your maybe log in with your correct details, enter your domain name, enter your tenant details and what have you, and you have access to it, right? So we'll get to see how easy it is to get all this work done using on the admin center using PowerShell script. So this is what the Microsoft 365 admin center looks like, right? So from here, you can see we have users by the left hand side. So I click on users, I can see active users, contacts, guest users, deleted users. I can see teams, I can see groups, active teams and groups, deleted groups, shared mailboxes, and so on. You can see roles, roles in your organization to see how many, you want to see who are the users that are global administrators, who are the users that are administrators for only emails, right? You can actually create different role-based access controls on Microsoft 365. Right, so you get to see all of that. And then even right from here, the setup aspect. So here is where you get to set up a custom domain name. Like I said earlier, next week Saturday we are going to do a deep dive on so it's actually under settings. We set up a custom domain name. So yeah, so next week Saturday we'll do a deep dive into the Microsoft 365 admin center, right? Looking at exploring the different features within it. It is quite robust, right? But we will try to capture it one part first, and then get used to it before we move on to another path, just to now help us in preparing for, in case you want to write the certification exams, and to show that you are now competent in managing Microsoft 365. So going back to setting up our demo environment, let me open that page. So it finally came up. So yes, this was the page where I mentioned that you can set up a 1-month trial, right? So now it says you've selected Microsoft 365 business basic trial, right? What does this give me? It gives me access to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook. It gives me access to Microsoft Teams, OneDrive cloud storage, and SharePoint, and Exchange email, and so on and so forth. So you can see all that you have access to right from here. So let me hide this stuff. Yeah, and when you set up a trial environment, you can add up to 25 users in that trial environment. So maybe you're running the trial and you want to have your colleagues also test the environment with you. You can easily do that. You can create user accounts for them as required. Now let's get started. It asked me for my email address. I entered one at chemiscakes.com, and then I click on set up account, right? So it will ask me to, because the domain name I just entered, or the email address I just entered, does not exist on Microsoft 365. So it will ask me to provide details about myself, right? So you enter your first name, your middle name, optional, your last name, phone number, and so on and so forth. Just default details that are required. So let me just, so that we can see how that works, and so that when you are trying to set up on your own, it won't seem so difficult, or you would know what to put in there. Business phone number, let me just enter company name, right? I'm assuming that this is just a small business. Company size, let's say it's just a business with like 10 people. You know, you can see one person, from one person to as much as 1,000 people and above, right? So I'm just saying, oh, we're a business with just 10 people, 10 to 25 people, so 24. So that's what I've selected. Country or region, I select Nigeria. So I understand that Microsoft may contact me about this and all of that. So you can now just click on next. Oh yeah, that's true. Wait, my email address. Please go back to enter valid. Oh yes, I entered an email address that does not even exist. So the email address I currently entered cannot receive emails at all because it doesn't even exist. So let me refresh this page and then enter one that I can even receive emails from. So let me see. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, a moment, please. Let me get this tenant name correct. Okay, I'm about to enter my tenant address and it's quite long. So we'll just assume that you can even wait. You should be able to try. Aha. Aha. So I don't know if you saw what I did. I actually used my personal email address. So you can use your personal email address when you're setting up the trial account. So I entered a wrong phone number. So they want to verify that it is me, right? So I'll wait for a verification code, and I just received that 288,300. Yeah. So now, to set up your account, you will need a domain name, right? So your domain name it's particular to your company, right? So domain name like ubabank.com or saharagroup.com or textilers.com, right? So that name that really makes that identifies your organization, right? So now you probably want a custom domain name for your business at some point. For now, choose a name for your domain using on Microsoft.com. Now, I mentioned at some point that when you're setting up your business or setting up an organization on Microsoft 365, each company has a unique tenant ID. So that tenant ID cannot be changed. Once we set up, let's say we set up this trial and we set a tenant ID now, right? If we decide to continue using this trial account, we actually buy a subscription and so on and so forth, right? We would not be able to, in the nearest future, change this tenant ID, but we can set new domain names. We can always change domain name. In fact, we can change it as many times as we like, but we cannot change this tenant ID. So you need to be careful when you're setting a tenant ID. Let's make sure it is something that is still relating to your organization. So we are working with a what should I call this word? With a company that's called Chemis Cakes, right? They do not currently have any Microsoft 365 account. So let's see. Chemis Cakes NG, right? Chemis Cakes NG dot on Microsoft.com, and then click on check availability. Beautiful. So this tenant name is available, right? So you click on next. So now you know, gradually you're actually setting up the trial, because now it's asking you to create your username and password, right? So the first account I want to create, maybe I just want to call it admin, right? Because of course this account is going to be the account that I will use in creating other users, and this is going to be the first account that we ever created. So admin at chemiskceng.microsoft.com. I can set a password. Right? And then by selecting sign up, you agree to our trial agreements. Okay. And then I click on sign up. Slowly loading because it's trying to set up that environment now. Aha. So now, because of, you know, it's a trial account, so it's free for 1 month, right? But basically, you know, all just like every other service that you'll find online, when you're setting up a trial, most often you have to, you know, just add your payment method, so that if it's something that you want to automatically renew after the trial period, it can easily charge. But the good thing is that you can set a reminder, and the system will also remind you when the trial is coming to an end, so that you can cancel the trial before you are charged, right? So here it's trying to ask you, okay, verify the you know, the quantity and all of that. But the truth is that you're not paying anything, and you have access to 25 accounts. So you can enter 25, right? And you get to see that, oh, the total amount is still zero. So $0, right? And then you can click on add payment method. And here you would not be required to enter your payment method. So I would advise you use a dollar card. If you have a dollar card, then you can use a dollar card to set up all of this, right? If you do not have a dollar card, you can make use of, you can create one. Maybe if you have a barter account, right? So you can create a dollar card, you can use it to set up this trial, and then when you enter all your card details, you just save and then continue. And once you are done, it would open up, it would give you confirmation details that, oh, you've successfully set up your trial account, right? And it will now bring you to that home page, the Microsoft 365 homepage that we initially found ourselves in, right? So that's how you can set up a trial for yourself. You can set up a trial account for your organization, right? And get started just testing out the Microsoft 365 environment initially. So do we have any questions so far based on what we've touched on today? Because today we've been able to address, you know, introduction to Microsoft 365, cloud computing, looking at the features and how you can sign up for a trial, right? So do we have any questions so far?
Hi. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Mr. Joseph.
It's Joseph.
Yeah.
Sorry, like when you are creating the account now, the trial account,
Mm-hmm.
does it mean you said you will advise that we use dollar, what is it called?
A
Does it
dollar.
mean that a dollar account or what do you call it?
Yeah, a
What
dollar.
about we well, okay, dollar card. What about we that have like a MasterCard? We cannot
Yeah.
try
So
that.
it is okay. So the reason why I advise on using a dollar card, most often, sometimes when you use the normal Naira card, it does not always go through, right? Sometimes for like authentication purposes or reasons, or it just doesn't go through, right? So you can use a dollar card, or you can set up a trial, even use through a Microsoft partner. So if you have, maybe you communicate with any Microsoft partner, you can have them set up a trial account for you that you want to, you know, test Microsoft 365 service, and that way you won't need to provide any card details at all, right? They will be the ones to just set it up and then give you the login details, tell you the duration of the trial, and then you can test it out. But when you're setting up, it's the same for even Google, right? You're trying to, maybe you want to even purchase a additional storage for your Google account or what have you. Most often you are required to use a dollar card.
Okay.
But you can try your MasterCard and see. Sometimes that thing can be so funny. Sometimes it actually goes through.
Okay. But is there any
Yeah.
way? Is there any way one can create a dollar card?
Yes. You can try Bata. It's owned by Flutterwave. So the good thing about having your own dollar card is also you can use it to make payment for, different services. Maybe you're trying to pay for like a Google service or a Microsoft service or what have you. So you can use your dollar card to make such payments. So it's never a waste. You will always find a use for it.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you. Okay, do we have any other question? I would actually also see if I would really appreciate if we can all, like I said, carry out this maybe tomorrow or during the week. You can carry out a research on Microsoft 365, right? Looking at the features, looking at the license options and what have you, right? And just so that you can get more familiar with it if it's something that is entirely new to you, right? And and then if it's possible for you to set up a trial environment, if you have any issues, please, if you have any issues while you're trying to set up the trial environment, kindly let us know so that maybe if there's any way we can be of help, probably we can come in and assist as required or what have you. So because like I said, we would like our sessions to be as hands-on as possible.
How do we get through to you?
All right then. How do you get through? I think, sorry, Sarah, were the mentees added to a
Yes.
group?
Yeah, they were added to a group, but what we can do is that group is for general group. What we can do is we can create from today's attendance, we can create, yes, an Office 365 WhatsApp group. If you guys have Teams on your phone, I mean, we are Microsoft. We can use the Microsoft Teams.
Exactly.
We are Microsoft customers. But if you want us to use WhatsApp, that's a bit personal. But I will not want anybody to, I don't want anybody to message anybody outside the WhatsApp group chat. I don't want anybody to message either the mentors or message another mentee because I don't want any issue with this program. Okay. So
Exactly.
I will look into that. I would ask for confirmation from our senior colleague, and I would let you guys know if we are going to create a WhatsApp group chat or if we are going to keep chatting. Yeah. Then that's good. Another thing is okay. Joanna, are we done? Can we stop recording?
Yes, please. Let me stop recording.
Okay.